Alpha animals, the African elephant. All right, welcome back to Alpha Animals, the only show where we talk about nature's absolute units like they're applying for a CEO position. I'm your host, and today we're discussing an animal so legendary, so absolutely massive, that David Attenborough probably needs a therapy session after every filming day with them. We're talking about the African elephant, the walking tank, the OG influencer of the savannah, the animal that looked at evolution and said, "Yeah, make me bigger." Now, before we start, I need you to imagine something. Close your eyes. Actually, don't close your eyes. You're probably driving or doing dishes or pretending to work. But mentally picture this. You're at the gym, right? And that one guy walks in. You know, the guy. The one who doesn't need to prove anything because his mere presence makes the weights feel insecure. That's the African elephant. Except instead of protein shakes, they're chugging 50 gallons of water a day and eating trees for breakfast. Let's talk numbers because the African elephant's resume is absolutely unhinged. Males can weigh up to 14,000 pounds. That's 6,350 kilograms for my metric friends. That's basically 2 Honda Civics, 2 entire cars worth of pure, unfiltered confidence walking around the savannah like it owns the place. Which, spoiler alert, it does. They stand up to 13 feet tall at the shoulder. That's taller than your ex's ego and probably more stable too. But here's where it gets wild. You think size is their only flex? Oh, honey, no. These absolute legends live 60 to 70 years in the wild. That's longer than most marriages, and definitely longer than any Nokia phone lasted in your household. Their brains? 6 kilograms. That's 11 pounds of pure processing power. That's bigger than any other land animal's brain. And before you say, but what about brain-to-body ratio? Stop. Just stop. We're not doing that today. Elephants are smart. Period. End of discussion. They can recognize themselves in mirrors. Do you know how rare that is? Most animals look at their reflection and think it's time to fight. Dogs? Fail. Cats? Fail. Your cousin Brad absolutely fails. But elephants? They're like, oh hey, that's me. Looking good today. Now let's talk about the trunk, because this deserves its own segment. The elephant's trunk is what happens when evolution gets bored and decides to create a multi-tool that puts every Leatherman to shame. This thing has 40,000 muscles. 40,000! You have about 600 muscles in your entire body, and you still can't open a pickle jar without grunting like you're summoning an ancient demon. Meanwhile, an elephant can pick up a single blade of grass with the delicacy of a neurosurgeon, and then 5 seconds later rip an entire tree out of the ground like it personally offended their family. It's a nose, a hand, a straw, a snorkel, a weapon, and a communication device all in one. If Apple designed the elephant trunk, it would cost $3,000 and you'd need a dongle to drink water. They use it to drink, obviously, but they don't just dunk it in and sip like we're at a pool party. No, they suck up to 2.5 gallons of water at once and then spray it into their mouths. It's like having a built-in super soaker that's also your primary appendage. Iconic behavior. Oh, and they use it to hug. Yes, elephants hug. They wrap their trunks around each other as a greeting. It's wholesome, it's adorable, it's the emotional support we all need but don't deserve. Okay, real talk. We need to address some elephant myths because the internet has lied to you. Shocking, I know. Myth number 1. Elephants are afraid of mice. No, absolutely not. This is Victorian-era nonsense that somehow survived into the 21st century like a bad fashion trend. Elephants aren't afraid of mice. They might be startled by small, fast-moving things because, hello, they're giant and can't exactly see what's happening at ground level, but they're not running away screaming. The only thing elephants are really worried about is poachers and habitat loss, which, yeah, mood. Myth number 2. Elephants never forget. Okay, this one is kind of true, but not in the way you think. Elephants have incredible memories. They can recognize other elephants they met decades ago. They remember migration routes passed down through generations. They remember watering holes from years back. But they're not walking around with perfect autobiographical recall like their data storage devices. They don't remember the time you waved at them at the zoo in 2003, Karen. Relax. Myth number 3. Elephants go to graveyards to die. This is peak romantic nonsense. Elephants don't have some mystical bone zone where they gather for their final moments like it's a Lord of the Rings ending. What does happen is that older elephants with worn-down teeth tend to hang out near water sources with softer vegetation because they can actually eat it. Sometimes they die there. That's it. That's the mystery. No Gandalf, no orchestra, just biology. Here's where elephants flex their emotional intelligence so hard that it makes most humans look like NPCs. Elephant herds are matriarchies. That's right, the oldest, wisest female runs the show. She's the CEO, the president, the group chat admin who actually reads the messages. She makes decisions about where to go, when to move, how to respond to threats, and everyone listens because she's earned it through decades of experience. The males, they leave the herd when they hit puberty and either wander solo or form bachelor groups. Basically, they become the "bro, I'm on my Sigma grind set" meme in elephant form. They'll come back to mate, but otherwise they're out there doing whatever teen elephant boys do. Probably TikTok dances, who knows. But the females, they stay together for life. Mothers, daughters, sisters, aunts, cousins, everyone. It's a multi-generational girl gang and it's everything. And they mourn their dead, genuinely. Elephants have been observed touching the bones of deceased family members with their trunks, standing vigil, returning to the site years later. They grieve, they remember. If that doesn't make you feel something, check your pulse. Elephants communicate in ways that make our text threads look primitive. They use infrasound, sound waves below the range of human hearing. They're literally having conversations we can't even perceive. It's like they're on a frequency we're not cool enough to access. These calls can travel several kilometers, so an elephant 6 miles away can tell another elephant, "Hey, there's water over here," and that's just their version of dropping a pin in the group chat. But they also use body language, touch, and even seismic signals. Yes, seismic. They can feel vibrations through their feet. They're basically texting through the ground. If that's not the most extra form of communication, I don't know what is. Oh, and they have specific alarm calls for different threats. Different sounds for human, lion, bee swarm. That's right, bees. The 14,000-pound giant is concerned about bees because bees are terrifying and elephants know what's up. Let's talk about why elephants are the ultimate main characters of the African ecosystem. They're what scientists call a keystone species, which is fancy talk for if they disappear, everything falls apart. Elephants create pathways through dense forests by knocking down trees. Those pathways become roads for other animals. They dig water holes with their tusks during droughts, which other species then use to survive. They spread seeds across massive distances because they eat fruit, walk for miles, and then, well, nature takes care of its course. Circle of life, baby. Without elephants, the landscape literally changes. Forests become too dense. Grasslands disappear. It's like removing the load-bearing wall of the savanna. Everything collapses. So yeah, they're not just big and cool. They're ecologically essential. They're the group project member who actually does all the work while everyone else just puts their name on it. Okay, time to get real for a second. I know we're here for jokes and vibes, but we need to address the elephant in the room. And yes, that pun was intended, and no, I'm not sorry. African elephants are endangered, critically in some areas. Poaching for ivory, habitat destruction, human-wildlife conflict, it's bad, like really bad. In 1930, there were about 10 million African elephants. Today, around 400,000. We've lost 96% of the population in less than a century. Let that sink in. And I know it's easy to feel helpless, like, what am I supposed to do about elephants? I can barely keep a plant alive. But awareness matters. Supporting conservation organizations matters. Not buying ivory, ever, for any reason, matters. These animals are intelligent, emotional, socially complex beings that have been on this planet way longer than we have. They deserve better than what we've given them. So there you have it, the African elephant, nature's tank, the savanna's CEO, the ultimate gentle giant with a side of "don't test me." If you learned something today, great. If you just wanted to hear me talk about elephant trunks for 15 minutes, also great. Either way, thanks for listening to Alpha Animals. Next time, we're talking about another absolute unit of the animal kingdom. I won't spoil it, but let's just say it involves a lot of teeth and even more attitude. Until then, stay curious, stay kind, and remember, be more like an elephant, smart, loyal, and absolutely unbothered by the haters. Peace.